Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're tackling a pretty persistent question in fantasy football circles. Does weight actually matter for wide receivers, for their fantasy points? Or is it just like old school thinking?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it should, right? Bigger guys, maybe tougher to bring down, better blockers. But does the data actually show that? That's the real test.
Exactly. And that's why this Brainy Ballers deep dive is so interesting. They really went for it.
What did they look at?
They crunched more than 20 years of data. We're talking NFL combine weights for the top 50 fantasy PPR wide receivers each season, all the way back to 2003.
Did they find anything surprising early on?
Well, yeah, they hinted at some things that maybe go beyond just simple averages, finding specific trends, optimal ranges, that kind of thing.
Okay, so step one was probably just seeing if heavier guys generally did better.
Spot on. And the initial findings, pretty intriguing. They found that the higher finishers did tend to be heavier.
Like the very top guys?
Yeah, the top 5 and top 10 fantasy finishers. They were above the median weight of that top 50 group in almost 62% of the seasons studied.
Okay, so more often than not.
And get this, the top 5 guys were heavier than the receivers ranked way down at 31st to 50th in like over 71% of the seasons.
71%, that's pretty significant. It definitely suggests heavier players have some kind of edge.
Right. But, that just confirms the general idea. It doesn't tell you what weight is ideal. Is it just a case of bigger is always better? Or is there a sweet spot?
That's the key question, isn't it? Like, where does that advantage really peak? How do you even figure that out? You can't just look at the top guys' weights in isolation.
Exactly. You need a baseline. What's normal?
Right. So they did something smart. They compared the weight distribution of the top 10 fantasy finishers over the last 2 decades to the bottom 10 finishers in that same top 50 group. So rank 41 to 50.
Comparing the best to the least best to the best.
Precisely. They looked at the bottom 10 guys' first 210 unique players over those years and saw what percentage fell into a certain, let's say, initial broad weight range they were testing. That gave them a baseline expectation.
Gotcha. So what happened when they looked at the top 10?
Well, they looked at the same number of unique players, 210 guys in the top 10, and guess what? A significantly higher percentage of those elite players fell into that same weight range compared to the bottom 10 guys.
So the top performers were clustering in that weight zone way more often.
Exactly. It was a clear signal that weight range wasn't just common, it was disproportionately linked to top performance.
Okay, so how did they zero in on the exact range?
They used what's called iterative analysis. Basically, they kept tweaking the weight range boundaries, testing different start and end points, seeing where the concentration of top 10 players was highest compared to the bottom 10 until they found the zone with the biggest performance signal.
And the final result?
Yeah, here's the kicker. The analysis pinpointed the optimal weight range for elite fantasy wide receiver performance again, going all the way back to 2003 as...
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At BrainyBallers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting abilities so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers' Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
210 pounds to 239 pounds.
210 to 239, okay.
And players who weighed in within that specific range at the combine, they showed up in the top 10 fantasy finishers 16.2% more frequently than they showed up in the bottom 10.
That's not just random chance.
No, absolutely not. That's a statistically meaningful difference. It shows a real advantage linked to that weight bracket.
Did they, quantify that link further? with stats?
They did. They ran regression testing, specifically looking at the Pearson correlation coefficient between combine weight and fantasy points per season.
Pearson value, right.
What did that show?
They got a value of 0.128. Now, you don't need a stats degree, but basically Pearson measures how strongly two things move together. A positive value means as one goes up, the other tends to go up.
So higher weight relates to higher fantasy points. Within this context, yes. And while 0.128 might not sound huge in some fields, for something like athletic performance with so many variables, speed, route running, QB play, everything, a consistent positive correlation like that, especially across elite athletes, is actually quite meaningful. It confirms weight isn't just noise, it's part of the success equation in that range.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's a thought. Has the NFL changed? Is this trend still relevant now?
Great question, and they checked that too. They split the data into 2 decades. 2004, 2013, and 2014, 2023.
Did the optimal weight shift?
That's the fascinating part. It remained incredibly stable. The percentage increase of players in that 210, 239-pound optimal range when comparing the top 10 to the bottom 10 was remarkably similar in both decades.
So even as the league evolved, offenses changed, this weight advantage held steady.
Pretty much, yeah. It suggests this isn't just some artifact of an older era. It's a consistent physical factor tied to elite performance over time.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway for you, the listener?
Well, the core finding is clear. The analysis uncovered a real, statistically significant link between a wide receiver's weight and hitting that elite tier of fantasy performance.
And that optimal window is 210 to 239 pounds. Players in that range are, 16.2% more common at the very top.
Right, and the regression testing backs it up with that positive Pearson value, showing a meaningful link between weight and points for these top athletes. Plus, it's held steady for 20 years.
So when you're looking at wide receiver prospects, maybe rookie drafts or just evaluating players, this gives you another concrete data point. It goes beyond just the usual height, 40-time college stats.
Exactly. It's another tool in your evaluation toolkit, grounded in long-term data.
And it kind of leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. If something as, well, seemingly basic as weight shows such a consistent, measurable connection to top-tier success across different eras of the game, it makes you wonder.
Wonder what?
What other fundamental physical traits might we be overlooking? As sports analytics get more complex, are there other simple, core physical attributes hiding in plain sight that are key predictors of elite success? Something to mull over next time you're deep in those prospect profiles.